There have been many disgusting statements made recently concerning allegations of improper conduct on my part. These statements about me are totally false.
Michael Jackson was usually calm in public. He spoke softly, smiled through pressure, and avoided turning every attack into a fight. But that did not mean he accepted disrespect. Michael had limits. He knew when someone was twisting him, mocking him, or trying to make him look weak. And when that happened, he showed a side people were not ready for.
Is the family still closely knit despite all the kind of tabloid stuff over the years?
That's sensationalism.
How do you deal with that?
How do I deal with sensationalism?
Yeah, how do you deal with everything in your life being magnified, exaggerated?
It's not true.
Almost to a...
Michael faced disrespect for years. Tabloids turned his life into a game. They created rumors, stretched stories, and made his private world entertainment for strangers. By this point, Michael had heard almost every lie, but he refused to let those stories become his truth.
It's like looking at a fictitious movie because it's fiction. It's like watching science fiction. It's not true. And I know myself. And it's sad when other people have to read those things.
That is what made his answer powerful. Michael was not begging tabloids to treat him fairly. He knew they had already chosen their version of him. So instead of chasing every lie, he stood on one belief: truth would last longer than headlines.
Do you feel like holding a press conference every week and saying, well, this is the rumor du jour? That's not true.
No, because I know eventually the truth will prevail, and I'm about truth.
Michael understood why it was happening. The bigger he became, the easier he was to attack. Fame gave him power, but it also made him a target. Every part of his life became something people wanted to judge. Still, he kept coming back to the same idea. Truth always prevails.
The bigger the star, the bigger the target. I'm not trying to say I'm the super duper star. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, you know, the fact that people come at celebrity. We're targets. And, but truth always prevails. And I believe in that. I believe in God, you know?
Does that faith sustain you?
Of course it does.
The same thing happened with Neverland. People loved making it sound strange, but Michael saw it differently. To him, Neverland was not a joke. It was the one place where he could breathe, feel safe, and live without the world chasing him.
I created Neverland as a home for myself and my children. And it was created simply. It was almost it was done subconsciously.
That answer puts everything into perspective. People mocked his private world, but ignored his reality. Michael could not even walk outside normally without fans, police, and security around him. So Neverland was not just fantasy, it was peace. It was his escape from a world that would not leave him alone.
Like I said earlier, where can I go? I mean, it's hard. I've tried to go as myself, and I've had policemen actually tell me, put on a disguise and give me an autograph from my wife or whatever. But they tell me, why are you out here like this with no security? So, and there's like fans everywhere, so I can't do it.
The next moment shows that disrespect did not always come from tabloids. Sometimes it came through jokes, comparisons, and people using his name for a reaction. They brought him up like a punchline instead of one of the most important artists in music.
Hypothetically, who would win in a fist fight, you or Michael Jackson? They're both roughly, the same size. You have both have high-pitched sound. What are your right hooks like?
Oh my goodness. He's a plant, y'all. But I planted him.
That connects to the story behind Bad and the Prince collaboration that never happened. On paper, it sounded huge. Michael Jackson and Prince on one song would have been a major moment, but Prince did not like being placed in a position where the song made him look weaker, and Michael was not changing the whole attitude of Bad to make anyone comfortable.
This is the story of you turning down Bad.
Well, that Wesley Snipes character, that would have been me.
Michael respected talent, but he protected his vision. If the energy was wrong, he was not going to force it. Prince had concerns. Michael had a direction, and instead of turning it into drama, Michael moved on without him.
The first line of that song is "Your is mine." I said, who gonna sing that to whom? Cause you sure ain't singing it to me. And I sure ain't singing it to you. So, right there we got...
People around Michael sometimes pushed too close, thinking his gentle nature meant he would not respond. They teased him, crowded him, or tried to catch him off guard, expecting him to smile through it. But Michael did not just take it. Once the teasing went too far, he fired back. He told him to back up and made it clear he was not going to be played with. It was not a huge outburst, but it was sharp enough to stop the moment.
Bro, how close are you?
I don't know, pretty close.
Like this? Or can you see chest?
I can see right about where your Nike is.
What a shooter. Back up. Did it. Like this. That's how you back up.
The next moment shows a different kind of disrespect. Michael was questioned about whether he understood what he signed, and the tone made the moment uncomfortable. It was not just about legal papers. The question suggested Michael was not fully aware or in control of his own choices.
Were you under the influence of drugs or alcohol that impaired your ability to understand what you were doing?
It could have been medication, yes.
Okay, what medications were you taking in about January of 2003?
Could have easily have been pain medication because I had some serious injuries on tour.
That is when Michael stops the exaggeration. They try to make it sound like he was impaired all the time, and he shuts it down with one simple correction. Of course not. He does not over-explain. He just removes the false idea before it grows.
Was this an impairment that lasted like all your waking hours, or did it come and go?
It comes and goes. Not all of your waking hours, of course not. Yes.
And this is one of the most direct examples of disrespect, because this was not just a rumor. Eminem publicly mocked Michael, and Michael was asked how it felt to be disrespected by another artist. That made it different. This came from someone in music.
But not to Eminem. We've spoken about it. I think that you should. Why not?
Speak about what?
About Eminem and this disrespect that he showed you.
Michael was hurt because he had respected Eminem's work. He understood what artists go through and how hard public judgment can be. So, for another artist to mock his pain, appearance, and struggles felt low. Michael did not scream, but he did not excuse it either. When he said Eminem should be ashamed of himself, the line landed because it was calm and direct. He was not matching insult with insult. He was simply saying Eminem crossed a line.
I've never met Mr. Eminem, and to have him, I've always admired him, and to have him do something like that was pretty painful as an artist to another artist. And it's sad because, well, I think what Stevie Wonder said is true. And I just don't want to say too much more than that. But he should be ashamed of himself, what he's doing.
Then Michael explained the bigger point. Artists should respect other artists. To him, greatness did not mean tearing someone else down for attention. He was not saying people could never joke. He was saying humiliation is different.
And it was wrong of Eminem to do what he did. I've been an artist most of my life doing what I do, and I've never attacked another fellow artist. Great artists don't do that. You don't have to do that.
But the story became even more interesting later. Michael did not clap back with a diss track or rant. He moved through business. While people expected anger, he ended up connected to music publishing power over the same artist who mocked him. That is why this moment feels bigger than a normal celebrity feud.
That music video, Michael was very calm about it. And we couldn't believe it, because the guy, I think Eminem was dressed up or a lookalike or something, he threw his nose on the bed. What was the single called? Didn't say much. And then we found out a few years later that he bought all of Eminem's songs. So every time that Eminem wanted to play a song, he had to ask Michael Jackson and pay Michael Jackson a fee, or Michael could block it.
Michael kept his message simple. He said artists should respect artists, and he would never do that to Eminem. That line showed the difference between them. Eminem went for embarrassment. Michael went for principle.
Mark said to Michael, "Are you going to sue Eminem?" He's like, "No, it's okay, don't worry about it. These things happen, you know. It's show business, and you should respect other artists. I would never do that to him." And as he said, it's a shame because he liked Eminem's music. He used to play Eminem's music a lot. Yeah, and then we found out.
Years later, the situation aged badly for Eminem. What was meant to make Michael look weak ended up making him look stronger. He stayed calm, made his point, and let time do the rest.
Eminem's come out there and said it was a mistake that he made, and he wished he never did it, and he wished he made peace with Michael Jackson before Michael passed away.
Even people around Michael knew the Eminem situation was not a small joke. When Eminem's name came up later, Michael immediately asked about his retirement. That showed he was paying attention. He knew the headlines, the industry, and exactly who had crossed him.
Because I thought he was going to kill me and stuff. But he really respected the fact that that's when Eminem retired. Yeah. So the first thing he said, he was like, "Yo, what's up with this retirement with Eminem? He really retired?" And I was like, "Yeah, he retired. Yeah, I mean, he's out, but he really respected him."
But this situation moves from personal disrespect to industry disrespect. Michael was not only defending himself, he was calling out a system he believed used artists, especially black artists, while hiding behind contracts and business language.
This is very important because throughout the years, black artists have been taken advantage of. completely. And it's time now that we have to put a stop to this incredible injustice.
This was Michael saying what many artists were afraid to say publicly. The companies were not just making mistakes, they were taking from the people who made them rich. Michael knew saying it out loud was risky, but silence would protect the same system.
It's been, the record companies really do conspire against their artists. They steal, they cheat, they do whatever they can, especially the black artists.
Then he went further and named Tommy Mottola directly. That was not a vague complaint. That was Michael showing he had reached his limit. He was no longer asking for permission. He was speaking like someone who knew his value.
Tommy Mottola. Tommy Mottola is the president of the record division. He is a mean, he's a racist, and he's very devilish.
The disrespect became clearer when Michael looked at how his album was being treated. It had sold millions, but the machine around him acted like it was not enough. To Michael, that felt like years of work being dismissed.
So he had this theory. So Invincible did well in terms of a music artist's success. I think when it was released, I think it went straight to 5 million copies sold. But when you compare that to Michael Jackson's success, which is over 100 million with Thriller, it's not right.
This was not Michael being dramatic for attention. It was 5 years of work, money, trust, and pressure crashing down. He felt robbed of the moment he had built. Michael was not only standing up for himself, he was standing up for artists used by a business that praised them in public and controlled them behind closed doors.
On the phone, talking to his people, screaming and shouting how he was going to sue for hundreds of millions of dollars, and that he wasted 5 years of his life, and he cried, and he would lock himself in his bathroom sobbing that he'd been screwed over. And when he came out, I said, Michael, why do you feel like this? And he said, listen, Matt, I spent 5 years of my life on this album.
The next moment shows the side of Michael that people rarely expected. Most people saw him as soft, quiet, and gentle, but his bodyguard explained that Michael had been trained from a young age not to be an easy target. His father made sure the Jackson boys knew how to defend themselves.
It's because Joe Jackson wanted to make sure all his boys were tough and that they could defend themselves and look after themselves, so he made sure they all trained in martial arts.
The moment happened in chaos. Cameras were everywhere. Fans were pushing close. Michael was already surrounded by noise and pressure. In that situation, one wrong comment or one wrong person could change everything.
I grabbed his arm because we were in a paparazzi scrum, a real serious one, and the fans were there. And this was back in the day when media was so big that you're talking 100 cameras trying to get that face shot of Michael in his face. There's a newspaper in England called the Daily Mirror, and they wrote a very terrible article about Michael.
Then someone pointed out the reporter who had written a damaging story about him, and Michael's mood changed. This was not normal irritation. This was years of frustration coming up at once. Then came the moment nobody expected from Michael Jackson. He became so angry that he pulled his arm back to swing, and his bodyguard had to stop him before one punch became a worldwide headline. That showed how far the disrespect had pushed him.
Completely fabricated, untrue. And one of the fans that Michael was aware of and believed said, Michael, that's the reporter there who's taking photos of you that wrote an article about you in the Daily Mirror. And he said, that's him? He goes, yeah. And then Michael swung his arm back, and this is on footage, and it went to punch him. I grabbed his arm like that, and I said, Michael, don't do it. This will be worldwide news. It will be terrible for your image. They will arrest you. They won't treat you like a normal person.
Afterward, Michael calmed down and thanked the bodyguard for stepping in. That detail says a lot. He knew he had been pushed somewhere he did not want to go. Michael could be kind, shy, and soft-spoken, but he was still human. And when someone crossed the line, even Michael had a breaking point.
He said, thanks for stopping me punch that guy. I don't know what I was thinking. He was so mad. He was going to punch the guy. I mean, Michael was a strong guy. He didn't. You had the Joe Jackson side of Michael Jackson, then you had the Catherine side, the Karen side. Where Michael wanted to be ruthless, he was ruthless. He wouldn't take no messing around.
Now this is different because Michael's anger is on the surface. He was not just denying rumors, he was calling them disgusting, false, and part of a nightmare he had been forced to live through. You can hear that this was not a small irritation. This was pain.
As I have maintained from the very beginning, I am hoping for a speedy end to this horrifying experience to which I have been subjected. I shall not in this statement respond to all of the false allegations being made against me. since my lawyers have advised me that this is not the proper forum in which to do that.
Michael explains why the media hurt him so much. He felt they were not reporting fairly. They were dissecting his life, twisting details, and turning serious allegations into entertainment. That was the disrespect he hated most. His pain became contempt for people who did not care about the truth.
I will say that I am particularly upset by the handling of this mass matter by the incredible, terrible mass media. At every opportunity, the media has dissected and manipulated these allegations to reach their own conclusions.
Then he makes it clear that he is tired of being judged before the truth is heard. This was not a soft line. It was a warning. Do not label me. Do not condemn me. Do not treat me like I am guilty because the media told you to.
I ask all of you to wait and hear the truth before you label or condemn me. Don't treat me like a criminal, because I am innocent.
This moment brings everything back to the press. Michael finally says what he really feels about the tabloids. He was tired of smiling through lies while the world treated fake stories like facts.
I do forgive. There's so much garbage and so much trash that's written about me that is so untrue. They're complete lies. And those are some of the things I want to talk about. The press has made up so much god-awful, horrifying stories that are completely appalling.
He explains how the disrespect worked. One photo gets taken out of context. A lie gets attached to it. Then millions of people think they know the truth. Michael was not fighting one rumor. He was fighting a whole pattern.
I cannot find the oxygen chamber anywhere in the house.
That story is so crazy. I mean, it's one of those tabloid things. It was completely made up.
So he explained the real story behind the photo because silence would only let the lie grow. If he did not explain himself, the tabloids would explain him for him, and they would choose the strangest version.
So I'm looking at the piece of technology, I'm touching it, feeling it, and decide to just go inside of it just to hammer around. Somebody takes a picture. When they process the picture, the person who processes the picture say, oh, Michael Jackson. He made a copy. These pictures went all over the world with this lie attached to it.
This was more than a defense. It was Michael warning people not to let strangers, headlines, and magazines decide who he was. He wanted people to think before believing every ugly story with his name attached.
You know, do not judge a person. Do not pass judgment on anyone unless you have talked to them one-on-one. I don't care what the story is. Do not judge them.
Then he called one rumor exactly what it was: stupid. He did not try to sound polite because, to him, it was ridiculous. But the real problem was not just the rumor, it was how quickly people believed it.
Did you buy the Elephant Man's bones? Were you trying to get them?
That's another stupid story. Someone makes it up and everybody believes it. If you hear a lie often enough, you start to believe it.
Then came one of the rumors that hurt him most. People were not only talking about his appearance, they were acting like he hated who he was. Michael answered directly and proudly because he was not letting anyone twist his identity into a tabloid joke.
You wanting to have a little white boy play you in a Pepsi commercial.
That is so stupid. That's the most ridiculous, horrifying story I've ever heard. It's crazy. Why would I want a white child to play me? I'm a black American. I'm proud to be a black American.
This was painful because it attacked something personal. People took his changing appearance and turned it into a story about self-hate. Michael made it clear that it was not true. He was not letting the press define how he felt about himself.
Then let's go to the thing that is most discussed about you, I think, is the fact that the color of your skin is obviously different than it was when you were younger.
This is the situation. I have a skin disorder that destroys the pigmentation of the skin. It's something that I cannot help.
Even his title became a controversy. Michael did not need to call himself anything. Fans and legends gave him that name, but the press still tried to twist it into ego. That is why he kept warning fans not to believe everything. He knew tabloids could take love and turn it into arrogance, take pain and turn it into comedy, and take truth and turn it into a lie.
Well, I didn't proclaim myself to be anything. Yeah, I think the press loves to just start trouble like that. I mean, again, do not read the tabloids.
The final moment shows Michael dealing with disrespect in real time. Bashir asked the question in a way that made Michael feel like his kindness was being twisted. The second Michael heard the framing, he cut in and said Bashir was making it all wrong.
Then we wake up like dawn and go in a hot air balloon. You know, we have the footage. I have all that footage.
But is that right, Michael?
It's very right. It's very loving. That's what the world needs now.
Michael was not letting Bashir turn care into something dirty. He pushed the question back and made it about children who needed comfort, love, and protection. In Michael's mind, that was the point, but Bashir kept pushing the darker meaning.
The world needs a man who's 44, sleeping in a bed with children.
No, you're making it all wrong.
Well, tell me, help me.
Because what's wrong with sharing a love? You don't sleep with your kids or some other kid who needs love?
Bashir was not asking gently. He was pressing Michael about how it looked to the public, and the tension started building. Michael could hear the judgment inside the question. He knew the conversation was moving away from understanding and towards suspicion. Then Michael refuses to let Bashir speak for every parent. He says he would allow it if he trusted the person and names Barry Gibb as someone close enough for his own children. To Michael, trust and closeness mattered more than the way strangers twisted it.
I wouldn't like my children to sleep in anybody else's bed.
Well, I wouldn't mind if I knew the person well, and if I'm very close to Barry Gibb, Paris and Prince can stay with him anytime. My children sleep with other people all the time.
If you want more breakdowns like this, hit like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments.